Hey, welcome to another class of Tuesday Night Beer School, starring me, Chad, of Chad's Beer Reviews. There's my credentials in case you need to know, and the book that I wrote, which is really appropriate for tonight's style. So, I ran a poll. I try to run a poll every week, and not surprisingly, Imperial Stout won out. So let's see what the Imperial Stout style is all about. Let's bring up the specs here. 20C Imperial Stout, traditionally an English style, but is currently much more popular and widely available in America and internationally, where it is a craft beer favorite, not a historical curiosity. Overall impression: an intensely flavored, very strong, very dark stout with a broad range of interpretation. Roasty-burnt malt with a depth of dark or dried fruit flavors and a warming bittersweet finish. Despite the intense flavors, the components need to meld together to create a complex, harmonious beer, not a hot mess, sometimes only accomplished with age. That cracks me up that they put these colloquial terms in there like hot mess. Come on, man. All right, so comments. Sometimes known as a Russian Imperial Stout or RIS. Variant interpretations exist with American versions having greater bitterness and more roasted character. In late hops, while English varieties often reflect a more complex specialty malt character with a more forward ester profile. Not all Imperial Stouts have a clearly English or American character. Anything in between is allowable as well, which is why it is counterproductive to define strict substyles. Judges must be aware of the broad range of style and not try to judge all examples as clones of a specific commercial beer. History. A style with a long, although not necessarily continuous heritage, traces its roots to strong English porters brewed for export in the 1700s and said to have been popular with the Russian imperial court. After the Napoleonic Wars interrupted trade, these beers were increasingly sold in England. The style eventually all but died out until being popularly embraced in the modern craft beer era in England as a revival export and in the United States as an adaptation by extending the style with American characteristics. Characteristic ingredients: pale malt with significant roasted malts or grain, flake adjuncts common, that mean like oatmeal. American or English ale yeast and hops are typical. Ages very well, increasingly used as a base beer for many specialty styles. They're talking about like the bourbon barrel aged imperial stouts. Style comparison: darker and more roasty than barley wines, but with similar alcohol. More complex with a broader range of possible flavors than lower gravity stouts. And our vitals: ABV, like the low end is 8% and the high end is 12%, which is what we're going to get today. SRM 30 to 40. I believe 40 is the highest number as far as SRM goes. So yeah, it's very dark. And I think I have had all these American examples, and the only English one I can get is the Sam Smith's Imperial Stout, which I just had on Christmas Day last year. Oh yeah, so what beer am I drinking for this review? All right, so this is not English, not American. It's from Poland. This is Komes Russian Imperial Stout, 12% ABV, intense roasted flavor. And on the back, they make a point of saying it's top fermented, so you know it's an ale, but it's lagered for several months. And there is a bottling code on here, but it's kind of hard to read because it says 3022-1. Let's get into the Spiegel Stout glass here. So you can see coming out, it is just straight up inky black. Well, maybe you could call it really dark brown coming out of the bottle. It does form a brown head, but it just fizzles away like a soda. In fact, you can hear it. Yeah, so now there's nothing left in here except just the beer. In fact, it looks like spent motor oil. I can't get ahead on this thing, but we'll come back to the appearance in a second. Let's dive in with the aroma. Yeah, I can smell this as soon as I pop the cap off of it, and yeah, it is classic, big imperial stout. So all those dark pitted fruits, so like raisin, date, plum, cherry, black licorice, chocolate syrup, kind of, yeah, like it's, or like a baker's chocolate, because it has like the aroma of like a super dark chocolate, but without like the milk chocolate. Like there's no implication here of like sugary sweetness. Like I'm smelling this beer and I'm not smelling. It doesn't strike me as sweet. It does strike me as being extremely malty. Um, but I mean, I don't get like roasty. I don't get coffee. This it's almost in a way almost kind of Belgian-y, but without the Belgian yeast esters. And it's hard to pick out any yeast character on this beer. In fact, It's hard to pick out hops on this one too. I mean, American Imperial Stouts tend to go nuts with hops. Like you get like huge citrus or pine on them, but to me, this beer is as far as the aroma goes, it is all about the malt. But I mean, it does smell pretty good. And for 12% ABV, wow, that is super clean. It is not burning my nose or anything. So, wow, I'm impressed with that. So let's take a look at the specs for aroma. Rich, deep, complex, and often quite intense with a pleasant blend of roast, fruit, hops, and alcohol. Now, I mostly get fruit on this one. Light to moderately strong roast can have a coffee, bittersweet, or dark chocolate, cocoa, black licorice, tar. I don't know about tar, or slightly burnt grain quality. Sometimes with a light caramel sweetness or toasty maltiness. Yeah, black licorice, yeah, cocoa, chocolate, yeah, something like that. Tar, no. And I don't get burnt on here. I think I know what they're talking about with the tar character. Low to moderately strong esters often perceived as dark or dried fruits like plums, prunes, figs, black currants, or raisins. Yeah, black currants I would say, but without the tartness. Very low to very aggressive hops, often English or American in character. See, that's interesting. They say it can be very low. So, all right. Alcohol flavor optional, but should not be sharp, hot, or solventy. All right, yeah, check on that one. The balance between the main four components can vary greatly. Not all need to be noticeable, but those present should have a smooth interplay. Age can add another dimension, including a vinous or port-like impression, but not sourness. Age can decrease aroma intensity. See, since I don't know exactly how old this bottle is, it's kind of hard to give it a fair score as far as all that, but I'm going to go... I could go 8 or 9 for aroma. It doesn't strike me as being super high as that, you know, because it seems to be missing a few things, but... And as far as appearance, well, we already covered that. Let's leave the specs real quick. Whoops. Gotta click on the right thing here. Here we go. Appearance. Color ranges from very dark reddish brown to jet black, opaque, deep tan to dark brown head. Generally has a well-formed head, although head retention may be low to moderate. High alcohol and viscosity may be visible as legs. Yeah. So, I mean, this just looks like spent motor oil in here, although you can see it's like real quickly leaving a residue on the glass. That would be the actual alcohol legs. Kind of bums me out that the head didn't hold. But it's not dirty or murky. And actually, down at the bottom of the glass here, you can see some kind of ruby hue. So, yeah, I could go. I have no problem going 3 out of 3 on this. If I was doing another judge and they said they were going to give it a 2, yeah, I could definitely go 2 on this one. All right, flavor. All right, so here is the best part. I forget which one is flavor on here. Can't really read it right now. All right, so cheers. That is very, very fruity. Wow. Fruity and almost a little spicy. Well, by spice, I mean like star anise, star anise, or whatever it's called, like almost like a black licorice kind of flavor. It is sweet, but it is not cloying sweet. You know, a lot of the beers, you know, that I've reviewed in the last month, even last week or two, because those bourbon barrel aged, because they're just like so so intensely malty and everything, is that they're like, you know, very, very sweet. But this one, even though it's 12%, and so it's very strong beer, it's not cloying. It is a nice fruity flavor, I will say. It actually kind of reminds me of like a Belgian quad, almost that kind of flavor, almost like the Belgian candy syrup flavor. So like, you know, dates, figs, raisins, black currants, a lot of, you know, the black and purple fruits. There is a confectionery note there. I would call it, it's almost like black or like dark chocolate, as if it was like in a syrup form. Yeah, so yeah, like a dark chocolate, like real dark chocolate, like a 95% cocoa chocolate. Yeah, it finishes with this kind of caramel toffee kind of flavor. So it is, you know, it is sweet. Interestingly enough, more on the back end and in the finish and the aftertaste, because up front it's just like all a fruity malty sensation. Again, I would say I don't really get like roast or coffee or anything like that. Yeah, real big, huge fruity up front, slight confectionery in the finish, maybe like a tiny little bit of vanilla, and like I said on the nose, like no alcohol. There, I mean, I can feel the alcohol as a warming sensation here, but it is not adding anything as far as flavor, so it doesn't give you like that rubbing alcohol kind of sensation. Or a lot of them, will create like for kind of vanilla or like kind of like a spice kind of sensation. Not here. It's very clean. Let's see what the specs say for flavor. Flavor, like the aroma, a complex mix of roast, fruit, hops, and alcohol. Some same descriptors apply. The flavors can be quite intense, often greater than in the aroma, but the same warning about the balance varying greatly still applies. Medium to aggressively high bitterness. The maltiness balances and supports the other flavors and may have qualities of bread, toast, or caramel. Yeah. I don't really get bread or toast, but yeah, definitely caramel. The palate and finish can be fairly dry to moderately sweet. An impression that often changes with age, should not be syrupy or cloying. Yep, I totally agree with that. Aftertaste of roast, bitterness, and warmth. Yep. Same age effects in the aroma apply. So as far as score for this one, I'm going to go 15, I think. Mouthfeel. I forgot to mention that. I always forget to mention. I'd probably call it like a medium full body. I don't know if I'd go as far as say straight up full. And low carbonation. I will say it is very smooth. It is very drinkable. For 12% ABV. Yeah, there is some alcohol warmth, but it is a clean, smooth, flavor and sensation. I am just sucking this right down. But, too bad I don't have a follow-up where you come back to me an hour or two from now. When it really hits my head. But yeah, so I say like medium full body and low carbonation, very smooth. Let's see what the specs say. I always bring this up. All right, mouthfeel, full to very full bodied and chewy with a velvety, luscious texture. The body and texture may decline with age. All right, so this could be an old bottle. Although I don't really get oxidation exactly. Gentle, smooth warmth should be present and noticeable, but as a background character, low to moderate carbonation. All right, so, I mean, they made a point of saying full to very full. But then again, they also said it may decline with age, but I just don't know how old this bottle is. I mean, to me, it definitely drinks like an Imperial Stout. So I could go 3 or 4 on this one. I think I'm going to go 4. Overall impression, I think it's good, but it's not great. And, so it just seems like a tad off for the style, but I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. So I'm going to go 7 out of 10. All right, so that gives us a total score of 38 out of 50, which is interesting because most of the beers I've reviewed on this show have scored a 40 or higher. The 38 seems about on point to me, because I was thinking like on a, like on Untappd scale, you do a 1 to 5 or 1 to 5 stars, and I was thinking like 3.75. So yeah, like 3.8. And maybe I could probably even drop that down. I could go as low as 35 on this one, but I could not go any higher than 40. It just doesn't strike me as being like a world class or even like a super excellent example of the style. It just seems a little undercarbonated. It just seems like lacking like real like roast character. I mean, I love that fruity flavor and like the confectionery flavors, but it just seems like a tad off. But I mean, otherwise the style, yeah, I mean it's there for the style. All right, so if you watch all the way in, you're awesome. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next Tuesday for another class, but I'll probably do another beer review between now and then. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.
Somebody brewed it, Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's beer review.
Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.